All right, everyone, welcome to the News Now stream. As you can see, our feed from Skyfox is a bit choppy, so we're periodically losing that signal as we are in Wickenburg, Arizona, which is about 45 minutes to an hour from the downtown Phoenix area. It's in a more rural part of Arizona, so again, you can tell that our feed is a bit spotty out of Wickenburg as Skyfox heads in that direction. Again, we're hearing Harvey Weinstein took a private plane to Wickenburg, Arizona, where he will seek treatment. This is the top story on TMZ.com right now. The Hollywood executive seeking treatment, jetting off to rehab. He's getting treatment, according to TMZ, for behavioral issues that include sex addiction. Now, the fallen mogul took a private jet from the Van Nuys Airport, headed for Arizona. He's set to land in the city of Wickenburg near the highly respected Meadows Rehab Center. Yesterday, TMZ had reported that Weinstein was set to leave the country for rehab, but that plan has now changed. It is believed that Harvey Weinstein will be going to the Meadows Rehab Center, but we cannot confirm that information at this point. All right, everyone, as you can see, Skyfox not showing much right now, so I'm going to cut out of this. As soon as we do see something, I will take you back. But in the meantime, we will now go back to Northern California wildfire coverage in just a moment.
The smoke, it was next to impossible to see what kind of damage there was to structures down below. It was hard to see any flames because the smoke was so thick. It just blanketed the entire valley. All of the Napa Valley was under that heavy smoke layer, and so we flew over the smoke and we had a view of the smoke, but we didn't have much of a view beyond that. Now, while we were here at the airport, we ran into State Senator Bill Dodds from Napa, who was also going on an aerial tour, and we got his thoughts about what's been going on with this firefight here in the North Bay.
I think the biggest issue right now is the concerns about red flag warnings, the wind that's going to be coming up, later today and throughout the weekend. It's very troubling for the people that are fighting these fires.
Are you satisfied with the response so far?
Absolutely. I think our first responders have just done a phenomenal job. As I said, even though we've lost lives in this disaster, let me tell you, without these fantastic first responders on the ground doing what they had, it would have been far greater.
In addition to Senator Bill Dodds from the North Bay, we also saw State Senator and the Senate Pro Tem Kevin De Leon from Los Angeles, who said, they've been battling that wildfire down there in the Anaheim area, but they're getting a handle on that one, and so resources are coming up from Southern California to help here. And he said this is a time when all of California pulls together when there's something like this going on. So this is not a Northern versus Southern California issue at all. I asked him if money was going to be a concern, and he said no. Money will not be an issue. They're going to do everything possible to get these fires out. And look at this activity. We have another tanker taking off. It's in the sky. This tanker just filled up. It's ready to roll out. And that spotter plane right there next to the truck, it's got fueled up, and it's going to head out again as well. This is really something. They're going to take this right up till darkness to keep at it to try to stop these flames. Of course, the big concern, Frank and Julie, is the wind. And Frank, earlier you asked me about the 747 that has been dropping some loads. I got a little more information on that. That plane actually did fly over here. It was a little north of here up in the Geyserville area and made a big drop. 19,200 gallons of retardant is what it can drop, and it makes one big run like that, and then it turned around and headed back to McClellan. It can't land here at Sonoma County Airport because the runway's about 6,000 feet long, which is good for most planes, but a 747 needs more runway, and the runway over at McClellan, which of course is an old Air Force base, is more than 10,000 feet. So that's where that 747 is tonight. Frank and Julie?
Ken, I'm wondering what the turnaround time is for one of those planes when it lands there. How long does it take to fill it up with gas and to fill it up with flame retardant? And do they even have enough flame retardant there, or are they constantly bringing in new supplies?
Well, I'm sure they're bringing in new supplies because the tanks here, looking at the tanks, it doesn't look like they have enough storage. So they must be bringing in new supplies. The turnaround time is remarkably fast. I'd say 5 minutes.
5 minutes, really?
They come in, they shut down, they fill it up, and they're rolling again. We've seen, I can't even count how many planes have come in and out, and oftentimes it's the same one. I've been looking at the numbers on the side, 89, 95, 91, 96. They have the big numbers printed on the tails of the plane. So they're coming in and out. They come in, 5 minutes, they're out. It's not that far to the fire scene from here, especially when you're flying. 5-10 minutes, they're on scene. They find their target. They make their drop. More than one drop if they can. They come right back down here. So they could be in the sky 20-25 minutes, and they're back here getting another load of retardant and back at it. So and they could actually fly and make a number of those runs for several hours without having to refuel. So they're just putting in more retardant.
Yeah, doing a very important job, and all being coordinated from an overall aircraft way above them, high in the sky. Ken Wayne, thanks very much for that report. Well, right now, the situation in Napa County is once again growing more dangerous for residents there. Yeah, authorities there have told some neighborhoods to be ready to get out if mandatory evacuation orders are issued. And KTVU's Jesse Gary was in Napa today and has more on the situation there.
The front lines in Napa's firefight are at the top of some of the mountaintops, but inching towards the bottom. Behind burned brush and vineyards on Mount Veeder, flames lapping at fresh vegetation. A fire strike team from Lake County made its way up Mount Veeder Road to the 2100 block to keep a fresh eye on this growing problem. It's not just the flames or the smoke or the crackling wood that you hear in the background. Every now and again, you'll hear a tree sound like it almost explodes and then fall to the ground.
We are literally looking at explosive vegetation. These fires are burning actively during the day and at night when one would expect a fire to subside.
Napa City officials, along with CAL FIRE, held a community meeting at Browns Valley Elementary School Wednesday afternoon. The goal is to get affected residents ready to evacuate if increasing wind speeds overnight threaten more homes.
So the concern for tonight for us is the east side of the city limits for the city residents. The Browns Valley area and the west side, we're obviously concerned will continue to monitor and patrol through the night.
Resident Taryn Coker has double the trouble. Her house in escrow in Calistoga had to be evacuated today, and now the backup plan could be in harm's way.
I actually went up and tried to move everything out of that house today down to here, to the Napa house that we have, and now I don't know if that's going to be safe either.
Officials are asking residents to plan for the worst by gathering needed medications, money, documents, and prepare to evacuate for 4 to 7 days.
Make sure that you have about a week's supply of prescription medication that you can take, have some cash ready, have your credit cards ready, have your fuel ready, and make sure that you notify a relative.
We've got everything packed up. We've got the trucks and trailers loaded, and hopefully we don't have to, but if we do, we're ready to go.
Officials stress not only have an evacuation plan out of your house, but also a plan to get out of your neighborhood to a freeway and out of the area. 200 residents from Calistoga who have been evacuated expected to come here to the Crosswalk Community Church. This church is going to be full up with evacuees for tonight and maybe for the foreseeable future. In Napa, Jesse Gary, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
It's game time, right? And when it's game time and the area needs our services, we're here to provide.
Coming up, firefighters and law enforcement officers are hard at work in the North Bay as those wildfires continue to rage out of control. This as the flames have now claimed 21 lives and wiped out entire neighborhoods.
And we're going to stay on for extended coverage tonight because of the severity of the wildfires in the North Bay. We'll be on KTVU through 8 o'clock tonight. Then at 8, you can find our live coverage over on KTVU Plus. That's channel 6 on most cable systems. At 10 o'clock, you can then watch the 10 o'clock news from 10 to 11:30 here on KTVU. We'll also be streaming all of our coverage on our website, ktvu.com.
KTVU began right here. And nearly 60 years ago, the 10 o'clock news was introduced to the Bay Area. Our location may have changed, but our commitment to you remains the same. Complete Bay Area news coverage from a station part of Bay Area history. And night after night, experienced journalists carry on a legacy. The 10 o'clock news on KTVU, Fox 2.
Take a little bit of KTVU with you wherever you go.
This is terrible. I would get off the freeway and take side roads.
Look, it's going to be pretty chilly in the city. You'll need a jacket.
Go down 2 blocks and take the frontage road.
Did we tell you it was going to rain or what?
The KTVU Fox 2 app. Traffic and weather with Sal and Steve. Here to make your mornings a little better. Mornings on 2. At KTVU Plus, it's about you, Bay Area night owls, staying up late to squeeze more out of your day.
When it comes to local news, it's never too late to get caught up.
You stay up and stay informed. The 10 o'clock news encore, every night at 11:30 on KTVU Plus. And we never stop asking questions. No is not an acceptable answer. 2 Investigates brings to light the Bay Area stories that need to be told. Relentless in pursuit of the truth. Dedicated to getting you answers. Determined to seek justice. 2 Investigates on KTVU Fox 2. Complete Bay Area news coverage. Fox 2 News at 7 on KTVU Plus. Every weeknight. We go beyond hashtags.
When 140 characters can't tell the whole story.
News you want to see.
Real news from real journalists.
Weather forecasts that give you more than a picture of the sun or a cloud.
The Bay Area's only live newscast at 7.
Ken Wayne, Heather Holmes. Fox 2 News at 7 on KTVU Plus. The power of 2.
Whether you want to surf,
Whether you want to run,
or whether you want to soak up the sun,
your plans depend on Bay Area weather.
and you can depend on us to tell you all about
it's
it.
going to be very breezy, especially up the coast.
Real heat going on around here, high fire danger.
KTVU Fox 2 is the Bay Area's weather authority. KTVU Fox 2 News. Frank Somerville. Complete Bay Area coverage.
The Tubbs fire is threatening several neighborhoods in Sonoma County, including the Oakmont, Glen Ellen, and Bennett Valley areas.
KTVU's Ann Rubin has the latest now on the firefight from the intersection of Grange Road and Bennett Valley Road, just outside of Santa Rosa.
All day, fire has been working its way down this hillside in Bennett Valley.
We have 2 homes that are adjacent to me, and these fuels are very, very dry.
On the ground, a strike team is in place, crews working to scrape away as much fuel as possible. Above, a CAL FIRE chopper makes pass after pass.
We would hope the weather would cooperate with us, but right now it's starting to get into the extreme conditions once again.
Firefighters say conditions have been good today, and this fire above the Matanzas Creek Winery has been moving slowly. But later, that's expected to change as the winds pick up.
We are very aware that we will have a 180-degree shift in the winds, and so that's why it's so good right now that this fire is doing what it's doing, taking out the fuel that would be pushed by higher winds. Therefore, it eliminates the problem. So that makes us available to go someplace else.
And while the crews admit a fire this size can be daunting, they're focusing on one hillside at a time. Many of them asking to keep going even when their shifts are done.
It's game time, right? And when it's game time and the area needs our services, we're here to provide. Yeah, I've got to put the leash on them, and get them their rest when they can. But yeah, we all want to participate and protect and take care of people's lives and their livelihoods.
Crews will be keeping a close eye on wind speed and wind direction overnight. They're hoping it doesn't make an already bad situation even worse. In Bennett Valley, Ann Rubin, KTVU Fox 2 News.
People in Santa Rosa were slowly being let back into evacuated areas today to grab personal items and check if their homes are still standing. Many finding nothing left as fire officials have to get everyone out as the winds then started to shift. We'll have the details coming up.
And as we do get ready to go into a red flag warning this evening, that is the concern for the fire zones, a wind advisory as well. What will it end up being like? We'll take a look at the pressure gradients, the forecast winds, and then beyond. We'll see you back here.
Fox 2's Mark Ibanez. Real stories.
My first love was Willie Mays and the San Francisco Giants. That was one of the highlights of my career, meeting my boyhood hero. To go to his house and have him show me a lot of his memorabilia and getting to talk baseball with him for hours at a time. It's a treasure that a baseball fan, you can't really just, I can't even explain it.
Real stories, real news. KTVU Fox 2.
We're all Bay Area people, proud members of every community, each of us with a unique perspective. News for Bay Area people, from Bay Area people. KTVU Fox 2 News. We're all Bay Area people, proud members of every community, each of us with a unique perspective. News for Bay Area people, from Bay Area people. KTVU Fox 2 News. Fox 2.
2 investigates on KTVU. Proud recipient of 3 Edward R. Murrow Awards in 2017. Honored for investigative reporting.
Tonight, new details about what happened.
He should have never suffered that way.
Continuing coverage.
Now, hospital staff at their breaking point break their silence.
These people are sleeping on the floor, eating on the floor.
And feature reporting.
120 people died right here in San Francisco because of a heroin overdose.
2 investigates. Award-winning journalism. Only on KTVU Fox 2 News. Fox 2 News at 7 on KTVU Plus. We go beyond hashtags. News you want want to see.
Real news from real journalists.
Ken Wayne, Heather Holmes. Fox 2 News at 7 on KTVU+.
We're all Bay Area people. The ones clocking in at all hours. Proud members of every community. Each of us with a unique perspective. Our stories are your stories. News for Bay Area people, from Bay Area people. KTVU, Fox 2 News. The 10 o'clock news on KTVU, Fox 2.
In one Santa Rosa neighborhood today, fire officials let people back in to evacuated areas to see if their homes had survived the flames.
KTVU's Rob Roth tells us that a quick increase in winds, though, forced them to evacuate the area once again.
They may be residents of Santa Rosa, but they're living in limbo. Dozens of people were planning to take advantage of police escorts into their North Santa Rosa neighborhood for the first time since they evacuated Sunday night. It would be their chance to see if their homes were still standing or not, and if so, to grab clothes and medications they didn't have time to take.
We had 5 minutes to leave with the sheriff screaming at me to leave, and I left my cats, and I thought I would just leave it for a short amount of time, but now, of course, I can't get back up to my home to find out if it's still there.
He got out safely with his dog, but he has no idea if his home is still standing. But he and dozens of others won't get to find out about their homes, at least not today. At around noon, the wind began to whip up and the escorts stopped because of safety. Santa Rosa is under threat of wildfires returning.
It's extremely frustrating not to be able to get to your home and your animals, you know, that you love.
One woman already knew her home was destroyed, but she was hoping to have a look anyway.
Just trying to see it for some kind of mental closure and maybe dig through rubble, just so even if I could find a vase or a ring or something standing, even just for memories, you know, I guess that's, you know, nobody gives you the playbook for how to do this.
Can I keep this separate? I don't want that to break because these things are breaking.
This San Francisco firefighter paramedic and his wife did get into the fire zone before the winds came. This is what their home looks like now, gone.
I have kids, man. I want to have security for them, and not having a house is one of those main things that you want for your family, and there's nothing I can do to stop this one.
Today I found like a little thing that my grandmother had given me, and there was really nothing there. So there's nothing to really get.
Authorities say they will resume the escorts as soon as it's safe, whenever that may be. In Santa Rosa, Rob Roth, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
All right, the story tonight is the red flag warning that will go into effect. It's not going to be as severe as what we had Sunday night, last Sunday with all the heavy winds, but it will still produce some winds. Tracking the pressure gradients between Winnemucca, Nevada and San Francisco, they are much less than they were Sunday night at this point. That's an indicator of how windy it's going to be. We are still going to see wind, so it's a much less gradient, lessened gradient than what we were seeing. So that should give us winds instead of 70, 75 miles an hour in some cases. It'll give us winds 25, 35, maybe 40 miles an hour on the gust, maybe a little more, but higher elevation. So what I just say, it's not the same event, and that's important to know. But with that said, the air dries out when it sinks, so you're going to get lower humidities. You're going to get higher temperatures, not hot, but higher temperatures, and you're going to get the funneling of the winds coming out of the north. So that's a concern. That's why Calistoga was evacuated, because Calistoga would be directly south. A north wind comes from the north, right? In Calistoga is directly south. Tomorrow will be lessening winds, but it starts off pretty breezy in the morning. The strongest winds tonight in the fire zones are going to be between about 3, 4, 5 in the morning, okay? And again, it's a red flag warning. It stays in effect overnight. The heaviest time will be in those early morning hours. So the firefighters, that's what they're doing now. You saw Ken Wayne out there. He was saying, hey, these guys are going off. Because they're laying down retardant. They're laying down fire breaks because they know that fire is going to switch directions. So I think you're going to be impressed with what CAL FIRE puts together by tomorrow morning, or put together. For us in the Bay Area, we are looking for temperatures to begin to stay just sort of on the mild side. They're not really heating up. up. Tomorrow we're going to see temperatures in the 70s. Smoky conditions continue, as smoky as I've seen it in the Bay Area in all my years here. These are the forecasts, and you can see we get a period here, and this is important to note. We're going to see some offshore winds tonight, fire winds, then a little bit of a break tomorrow afternoon into Friday, and then we'll go back into a little bit of an offshore wind event. So it's on again, off again. But like I said, I know what CAL FIRE was doing today, and I'll bet you they laid down some pretty good breaks, anticipating that wind shift from the north tonight. I'll see you back here in a little bit.
Bill, thank you. Yeah, we're going to take a short break. We have more ahead in just a moment.
We're all Bay Area people, proud members of every community. Each of us with a unique perspective. News for Bay Area people, from Bay Area people. KTVU, Fox 2 News.
Fox 2's Mark Ibanez, real stories.
My first love was Willie Mays and the San Francisco Giants. That was one of the highlights of my career.
All right, everyone, we're going to cut out of this because we believe that we've located the plane. Again, Harvey Weinstein heading to Arizona to seek treatment. We do see a black SUV there. I can't confirm that this is his plane, but we are to believe that it is the plane that left Van Nuys earlier today. Again, for those of you just joining us, our feed from Skyfox is a bit choppy. Right now we've lost the signal. Bear with us as we are in a rural part of Arizona. That's where Hollywood executive Harvey Weinstein is seeking treatment. He flew in a private plane from the Van Nuys area airport in Los Angeles to Wickenburg. And we believe he's in that black SUV there. Again, bear with us. Our signal is going in and out, so just stick with it. Thank you for watching News Now. Again, for those of you just joining us, our feed from the Skyfox chopper is a bit spotty. So stick with us. Oh, you know what? It looks like they have changed the destination of where it is coming in. So just stick with me. We will get you that feed as soon as possible. All right, again, it looks like we've lost that feed from the Skyfox chopper. Stay with us, guys. We have continuous coverage of Weinstein Watch in Wickenburg. Again, guys, bear with us. We are following this SUV we believe that the Hollywood executive is in. Right now, the Skyfox chopper is just so far north from the Metro Phoenix area that we believe that it has lost the signal. Now, for those of you not familiar with Wickenburg, it is more of a rural area in Arizona. So again, you may understand why we lost that feed, but it looks like we have that feed back now. Again, for those of you just joining us, we are giving you a live look at what we're calling Weinstein Watch here on News Now. Harvey Weinstein flew from Los Angeles, the Van Nuys Airport, to Wickenburg, Arizona. The Hollywood executive, it is believed, is seeking treatment in Arizona following many accusations of sexual assault. In the recent days, we've heard news that his wife has decided to leave him. He lost his job at a company he started. It is believed that Weinstein is inside that black SUV. We'll continue with live coverage from our Skyfox chopper. Again, for those of you just joining us, you may be wondering why you're looking at a black screen. It's because our Skyfox chopper periodically goes out of range. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with Wickenburg, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys a map Just give me a moment while I pull this up for you. We're going to go ahead and give you guys a map of Wickenburg. And it looks like we have our signal back, but we still will show you Wickenburg relative to the rest of the Arizona Greater Phoenix area. Just in case we lose the shot again, I have that map pulled up for you and ready to go. Again, for those of you just joining us, we are watching live coverage coming in from Wickenburg, Arizona. Again, we're following that black SUV. We've followed that SUV since it landed at the Wickenburg airport. It is believed that Harvey Weinstein is inside that vehicle. It is believed that he is seeking treatment here in Arizona following reports, many reports of sexual assault allegations, a lot of Hollywood celebrities speaking out about their experiences with the disgraced Hollywood mogul. All right, everyone, we have gotten an update regarding the location of this black SUV. All right, we got some conflicting information in the newsroom, and I just want to update you. Harvey Weinstein did not fly into Wickenburg. He flew into Scottsdale, an airport there, which is obviously much closer to Phoenix. And in the greater Phoenix, Scottsdale area, he's now at one of the many resorts here in the Valley. Again, for those of you just joining us, we want to make a correction here on the News Now stream. Previously, we reported that the Hollywood executive Harvey Weinstein had landed in Wickenburg. However, that is not the case. Harvey Weinstein instead flew into the Scottsdale airport, and it is believed he is at a local resort here in the Paradise Valley area. We are being told that he's staying at the Phoenician Resort. Skyfox above the Phoenician. A very popular resort here in the greater Phoenix area. Again, Harvey Weinstein has landed in Arizona. Again, for those of you just joining us, we have been following this black SUV. It is believed that Harvey Weinstein was inside this vehicle. He reportedly landed at an airport here in Scottsdale. The SUV then traveled south to the Paradise Valley area of Arizona. The Phoenician Resort is where Skyfox is overhead. I know some of you may be wondering where this resort is relative to the rest of Arizona. Again, as soon as we, in case we lose these Skyfox aerials, we will show you a map so you have a rough idea of exactly where this resort is located. We are circling overhead the Phoenician Resort in Scottsdale. Harvey Weinstein flew out of Van Nuys earlier today on a private plane and landed in Scottsdale not too long ago. All right, everyone, as you can see, there were people exiting that SUV and entering the resort there, the Phoenician in Scottsdale. Skyfox chopper now leaving the scene in Scottsdale. So we will continue with our coverage of different breaking news here in just a moment. I want to go ahead and pull up this map, though, for just a moment, so I can show you guys where exactly the Phoenician is. There were people exiting that SUV. You have the Phoenician resort right here. Phoenician in Scottsdale. You have downtown Scottsdale right there. You guys are wondering where Phoenix is. The airport's right there. And here is downtown Phoenix. So this gives you a rough idea of where exactly Harvey Weinstein is relative to where exactly the rest of the greater Phoenix area. Again, Harvey Weinstein in Arizona following a pretty traumatizing week, but you know, when you have this many sexual assault allegations against you, you're probably not going to receive much sympathy. All right, everyone, we are going to cut out of this and take you back now to our KTVU coverage of the wildfires there in Northern California.
Dateline, weekdays at 4 on KTVU+.
Bay Area evenings have a rhythm, all their own. Intense. Elegant. Magical. At KTVU Fox 2, evenings are all about
wildfires there in Northern California.
The 10 o'clock news on KTVU Fox 2.
Movies presents helpful tune-in tips to enjoy the timeless films and iconic stars of movies. Tip number 1. If you have cable, check your local listings for the channel carrying movies. Tip number 2. No cable? Connect an HD antenna to your TV and rescan until you see movies on the screen. For more, go to moviestvnetwork.com. Our name says it all.
Cresco rents. What you need, when you need it. And we show you how to use it. We have the right tool for every job.
Most people really only need a tool for the one project. Cleaning a deck one time or aerating the lawn once a year. So renting makes a lot more sense than buying a rototiller that might sit in your garage all year long. I'm Chris Smith, president of Cresco. If you need it, Cresco's got it.
All over the Bay Area and online at CrescoRent.com.
In Santa Rosa today, officials let some residents return to an evacuated neighborhood to see if their homes were still standing.
KTVU's Rob Roth tells us a quick increase in winds, though, forced them to evacuate from the area once again.
They may be residents of Santa Rosa, but they're living in limbo. Dozens of people were planning to take advantage of police escorts into their North Santa Rosa neighborhood for the first time since they evacuated Sunday night. It would be their chance to see if their homes were still standing or not, and if so, to grab clothes and medications they didn't have time to take.
I had 5 minutes to leave with the sheriff screaming at me to leave, and I left my cats, and I thought I would just leave for a short amount of time, but now, of course, I can't get back up to my home to find out if it's still there.
He got out safely with his dog, but he has no idea if his home is still standing. But he and dozens of others won't get to find out about their homes, at least not today. At around noon, the wind began to whip up and the escort stopped because of safety. Santa Rosa is under threat of wildfires returning.
It's extremely frustrating not to be able to get to your home and your animals, you know, that you love.
One woman already knew her home was destroyed, but she was hoping to have a look anyway.
Just trying to see it for some kind of mental closure and maybe dig through rubble, just so even if I could find a vase or a ring or something standing, even just for memories, you know, I guess that's, you know, nobody gives you the playbook for how to do this.
Can I keep this separate? I don't want that to break because these things are breaking.
This San Francisco firefighter, paramedic, and his wife did get into the fire zone before the winds came. This is what their home looks like now, gone.
I have kids, man. I want to have security for them, and not having a house is one of those main things that you want for your family, and there's nothing I can do to stop this one.
Today I found like a little thing that my grandmother had given me, and there was really nothing there. So there's nothing to really get.
Authorities say they will resume the escorts as soon as it's safe, whenever that may be. In Santa Rosa, Rob Roth, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
Well, and unfortunately, we have just learned that the death toll has now gone from 21 up to 23 for all of these fires. We're also learning that 285 people, unfortunately, are still missing. Earlier today, the number was up at 600, but they have since either found the people or in some cases there was duplication. Several people had reported the same person.
315 have been found safely. That number, though, the 285 missing, is still in Sonoma County
itself,
so that could mean more numbers in other areas. Thank you for joining us tonight on this extended coverage. Our coverage continues now on KTVU Plus.
Here in the Bay Area, we show our true colors, representing in blue and gold, proudly wearing that orange and black, green and gold, and showing off our red and gold.
Bay Area has the colors. We have the coverage. KTVU Fox 2, your home for Bay Area sports coverage. Fox 2's Dave Clark. Real stories.
When I was a boy in elementary school, I built a little radio station in our basement. I did a regular broadcast every day. My microphone was my dad's soldering iron. I would walk around describing the dust. So this, for me, is the culmination of a boyhood dream.
Real stories, real news. KTVU Fox 2 News. And feature reporting.
120 people died right here in San Francisco because of a heroin overdose.
2 investigates. Award-winning journalism. Only on KTVU Fox 2 News.
The Bay Area. Our mornings can be breathtaking, peaceful, alive. Bay Area mornings can be a lot of things. At KTVU Fox 2, it's all about you. Mornings on 2.
For more than 20 years here on Mornings on 2, we brought you news, traffic, and weather.
No, Sal. It's weather and traffic. Weather should go first.
People don't want to leave the house without knowing about the traffic.
Which is affected by the weather.
Not this again. Look, traffic and weather are both important.
You see, traffic and weather.
No, my friend. We're talking weather.
Traffic and weather. Weather and traffic. Weekdays on Mornings on 2.
On the next Modern Family, Phil runs into his old enemy.
Glenn Whipple, my college rival, captain of the cheer squad, winner of every robot battle. Every second I spent with the guy just made me feel worse about myself.
Can Gloria help make him jealous?
I found something that is going to make my husband very happy. What do you think?
Oh, very happy, Gloria. That's your wife? It would appear so.
Next, Modern Family.
Modern Family, tonight at 11:30 and midnight on KTVU Fox 2.
We are not switching operations to anything but life-saving right now. It's all about life-saving and evacuations.
Massive wildfires continue to burn out of control in the North Bay. Thousands of homes and businesses now gone, with many, many more still in the path of those flames. Fire crews face an uphill battle once again tonight as the winds have started to increase, hampering containment efforts. Good evening, everyone. I'm Heather Holmes. Thank you so much for joining us for live continuing coverage of the North Bay wildfires right here on KTVU+. New video to show you from Skyfox taken just this afternoon, and it shows the firefight over Napa County as the Atlas fire continues to grow. And we just learned the number of people who have died is now up to 23. 185 people are injured all across Northern California, and at least 3,500 buildings have been destroyed. Thousands of homes are still threatened, with 4,500 people in emergency shelters right now. What we still don't know tonight is the cause. CAL FIRE says investigators are looking at everything, but many people are speculating that power lines may have sparked the fire. The past hour, PG&E released this statement, quote, "The historic wind event that swept across PG&E's service area late Sunday and early Monday packed hurricane-strength winds in excess of 75 miles per hour in some cases." Goes on to say these destructive winds, along with millions of trees weakened by years of drought and recent renewed vegetation growth from winter storms, all contributed to some trees, branches, and debris impacting our electric lines across the North Bay. In some cases, we have found instances of wires down, broken poles, and impacted infrastructure. Where those have occurred, we have reported them to our state utility regulator and to CAL FIRE. Our thoughts are with all of those individuals who were impacted by these devastating wildfires. The big concern right now is the increased winds hampering the firefight. We have live team coverage for you. We begin with KTVU's Tom Vakar in Calistoga, where mandatory evacuations are underway, Tom, for that entire city.
5,300 people have been told you've got to leave town. You have no choice. There's a problem. It's about a mile to my right, and it's called Mount St. Helena, which is on fire. And if the winds should happen to come quickly from the north to the south, it could blow that fire right here into Calistoga. But the winds so far, at least, seem to be paying some attention. I want you to take a look up here. There's no way better to show it than to show you this American flag. That's the wind condition here in downtown Calistoga right at the moment. But it's what's happening up there on that mountain. What we saw earlier is why we have mandatory evacuations. Shortly after we arrived this morning, we found several huge twin-bladed helicopters styled after Army Chinook helicopters fetching hundreds of gallons of water at a time from agricultural retention ponds just north of Calistoga's east side. It's been a day-long rotation of chopper after chopper taking their huge bags of water from here to the west side of the Napa Valley, where Mount St. Helena rises above the valley. They were precision dumping their loads on a smoky fire that's rapidly climbing the mountain. At the top of the mountain, a large group of contract and inmate hand crews were taking positions near the summit. They come from CAL FIRE, the U.S. Forest Service, and the National Park Service. There's one reason and one reason only to have this much firepower up here at the top of Mount St. Helena, to keep it from getting over the top. And should it get over the top, they can run right down the mountain into Middletown. Between the mountaintop crews and the water drop spot well below, we then happened upon a force of CAL FIRE honor inmate hand crews from a San Diego correctional facility.
Right now, we're here as in a strike team configuration, myself with the strike team leader and two crews, myself and one other crew. And right now we're doing a little preparation work. If in the event this fire does come across tonight, we're prepping the structures that way be very easily defendable by engines being able to get up in here and be protected.
They arrived last night and seemed eager to enter the firefight.
They're good. They're good. We put a lot of effort and hours into getting these guys trained up, coming out in fires and performing what needs to get performed on a daily basis.
And so you are looking at the latest. This flag tells the story as to what's going on right here, right now. The problem, of course, being that we don't know what's going to happen 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or 5 hours from now, and that's why this town is evacuated. Reporting live, Tom Bakar, KTVU Fox 2 News.
And Tom, it does appear that people heeded the warning. Do you get the sense that most people, or if not everyone, in Calistoga did in fact evacuate?
No question that most people did. It simply couldn't be this quiet otherwise. But do I think that people stay behind? I have yet to be to a disaster where a lot of people didn't stay behind, and sometimes they don't live to regret it. And other times what happens is they find out how tough it is to be in an area like this with no services available whatsoever. Yeah, this town is pristine. It is intact. It is completely shut down, though. You can't buy anything. You can't get anything. There's no service available to you. And of course, this town depends on the tourism that comes through here in order to make its livelihood. So the sooner this is over with, the better this town is going to be. But it's in much better shape to simply just open up and do business than we've seen in other disasters like we saw up at Clear Lake, where there was no town to open up afterwards. That's the bad situation. Fortunately, all we're doing here is waiting and watching.
And hoping that the winds shifted in another direction. All right, Tom Bakar, live for us there in Calistoga. Thank you. Our meteorologist, Mark Tamayo, tracking those winds, which is obviously the big concern right now. But Mark, in Tom's live shot there, when he showed us the flag in Calistoga, I have to say the winds did not seem very high at this particular moment, at least in Calistoga.
Yeah, in that location, the winds were actually maybe under 10 miles an hour. So thankfully, that's the case right now. Now, we're not expecting the extreme event we had Sunday night and Monday morning. That will not happen. We can say that with high confidence, but the winds will be picking up tonight into tomorrow morning. And you saw in Calistoga, the winds are not so strong, but in other portions of the North Bay, we do have the winds ramping up. So right now we have winds out of the north and northwest. They will shift in direction over the next few hours. Just for comparison, you can see the winds Sunday night gusting 60 to 80 miles an hour, not only for the higher terrain, but at the surface as well, closer to sea level in Santa Rosa. Tonight in the hills, we could have winds potentially closer to 40 miles an hour. Valley locations 20 to 30 miles an hour. So this is more of a typical setup you would expect for tonight. But still, with the fires already so big and adding some more wind to the mix, of course, that's why we are so concerned. Hawkeye right now up in Sonoma County, over 2,000 feet there. We have winds gusting to 19 miles an hour. Santa Rosa, 18 miles an hour, and those humidity levels around 37 to 40%. Here we go. Some more observations kind of surrounding these fire zones out toward Atlas Peak. Wind only right around 10 miles an hour. So at least on these observations, we're not talking about much in the way of some strong winds just yet, but that should be changing as we head into late tonight. Here we are, 2 a.m. tomorrow morning, winds gusting around 23 to 31 miles an hour, and then even 5 and 6 o'clock, even 8 o'clock as well. We will gradually scale back on the winds, though, by Thursday afternoon, so that will be good news. Now, all the areas in red, that's a red flag warning, and also a wind advisory posted for the North Bay Hills and the East Bay Hills. So as we come in closer, yep, we have those winds picking up out of the north to northeast, and that red flag warning already in place for the North Bay Hills until 5 p.m. Thursday, and then for the East Bay Hills and the Santa Cruz Mountains, that kicks up at 11 o'clock tonight, lasting until 5 p.m. Thursday. So winds, that 50-mile-an-hour gust, that's very isolated, probably more common around 20 to 30 miles an hour, maybe a few spots closer to 40 miles an hour. So once again, this will not reach the extreme levels we had Sunday night, but still a concern. We're already talking about major fires out there and the possibility of new fire starts with this pattern developing.
Yeah, any uptick in the winds is not something that we want to see. Once again, there is plenty of dangerous air in the Bay Area due to all the huge wildfires. And joining us now live on the phone is Lisa Fasano, a spokeswoman for the Bay Area Air Quality District. And Lisa, I have to say, I live in San Francisco, and boy, that smoke seemed much heavier, much more noticeable today than it was yesterday. What are your current readings?
We're showing unhealthy air quality throughout the Bay Area. And in San Francisco particularly, it's still looking unhealthy there as well. So we're finding that this smoke is slowly moving its way throughout the Bay Area and impacting all of the counties that surround the Bay.
How long do you expect the air to stay like this?
Well, you know, we're under an inversion layer right now, which is kind of trapping all this smoke into the air. Normally the Bay Area gets winds that kind of move the air out, and it's why we have such good air most of the time. But this is really trapping it all in the air and keeping it here, and so we're not quite sure how long this is going to last. It's very dependent on the weather, it's dependent on the winds, and then it's also dependent on how quickly the firefighters are able to get the fires out in the North Bay counties.
Yeah, what are you telling people, especially those who are particularly sensitive to pollution, to do? I mean, should they leave town?
Well, we're telling people that they should close their windows and doors, and if they have air conditioning units, put them on recirculate so they're not drawing polluted air from outside into their homes. In many cases, people being at work is almost a better place because most businesses have filtered air. And we're also suggesting if people are having difficulty breathing or if they have respiratory conditions that are getting kicked up because of the air pollution, that they should leave the area where the smoke is and get to an area that has less heavy particulate matter so that they can get a little respite from that until the smoke clears from the Bay Area here. Yeah, but it's definitely a very difficult situation, and everyone throughout the Bay Area is suffering.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing schools, libraries closing due to the conditions, and Lisa, it's not just here in the Bay Area, but also bad air quality down south too. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Mandatory evacuations, meantime, are also in place now for parts of Geyserville in Sonoma County as crews there try to contain what's called the pocket fire. So far, at least 7 buildings have been destroyed, and that includes 3 homes. KTVU's Tara Moriarty continues our coverage now. She's on River Road near Geyserville Inn. And for those of you who are not familiar with this area, Geyserville is about 20 miles north of Santa Rosa. So, Tara, just how many people are being evacuated now?
You know, we don't have any solid numbers just yet. The information has been pretty slow to trickle out, but we do know that there are several families staying here at the Geyserville Inn, and we were able to speak with 2 of them. They have been living here for 3 days, and let me tell you, almost every single hour that it's daylight, they come out here to this parking lot, they gaze out at the fire up on the ridge, praying, hoping that their homes will be spared. The good news, it appears that the 2 people we spoke to, their homes are in the clear, so that is at least some good news for them. Of course, that could change. They are still waiting to hear what happens. We want to show you this new video that has just come in of the flames lapping up the hillside while crews desperately try to get a handle on it. Crews have been pushed to the brink here with little or no sleep since Sunday when flames broke out on the ridge in areas of the Vineyard Club and Venoni Ranch. Then tonight at sunset, residents gazed in awe of the 747 that dropped fire retardant. To them, it was simply a beautiful sight because most of the resources to fight fires have gone to Santa Rosa, Napa, and Sonoma. The fire is now headed southeast in the direction of River Rock Casino, and mandatory evacuations are in place for those on Highway 128 east to River Rock Casino and then south on 128 to Geysers Road up to Calpine. So far, officials say 3 to 4 homes have been destroyed, 5,000 acres charred. We spoke to one woman who was evacuated at 2 o'clock in the morning on Monday.
With this wind advisory going on from 5 p.m. this evening till 5 p.m. tomorrow evening on Thursday is the most unpredictable time that we're going to have to deal with fighting this fire.
That was the incorrect sound. Actually, the woman who we interviewed just basically said that she was in a daze trying to throw stuff in her car and shaking until it was time to leave. Crews at this point say they are most concerned about the wind. That wind advisory is in effect now through tomorrow at 5 p.m. and they are expecting a gust up to 50 miles an hour at the tops of those ridges. And, you know, a lot of the folks around here say, can you please get the word out? We do not want tourists coming up here. There was a wedding here at the Geyserville Inn, which has been canceled. And the residents here are very grateful because they say there are just so few places to stay, so few hotels that they really need that space for the evacuees. One more thing I want to mention, the air quality here doesn't seem to be as bad as it is in San Francisco, in Marin County, some of the other places where we've been seeing those bad numbers, the toxicity levels up. Here, it does appear that because the wind is blowing away from Geyserville, that it's pretty clear, and so that is at least one good thing that people around here can breathe a little easier. Live from Geyserville, I'm Tara Moriarty. Back to you.
All right, Tara, thank you very much. Coming Coming up, tragic stories emerging tonight of people unable to escape the flames. Coming up next, an update on the missing and also some very important numbers that you should know about if your loved one is still unaccounted for. Stay with us.
Fox 2's Dave Clark. Real stories.
When I was a boy in elementary school, I built a little radio station in our basement. I did a regular broadcast every day. My microphone was my dad's soldering iron. I would walk around describing the dust. So this, for me, is the culmination of a boyhood dream.
Real stories. Real news. KTVU Fox 2 News.
Here in the Bay Area, we show our true colors, representing in blue and gold, proudly wearing that orange and black, green and gold, and showing off our red and gold.
The Bay Area has the colors. We have the coverage. KTVU Fox 2, your home for Bay Area sports coverage. Your night just got better. All the shows you love and the Bay Area's news leader, KTVU Fox 2.
We are all Bay Area people, starting early to get it done. Every day meeting new challenges, discovering what's possible. Our stories are your stories. News for Bay Area people, from Bay Area people. Mornings on 2 on KTVU Fox 2 News. The Bay Area. Our mornings can be busy, exhilarating, dynamic. Bay Area mornings can be a lot of things. At KTVU Fox 2, it's all about you. Mornings on 2.
Here in the Bay Area, we show our true colors, representing in blue and gold, proudly wearing that orange and black, green and gold, and showing off our red and gold.
The Bay Area has the colors. We have the coverage. KTVU Fox 2, your home for Bay Area sports coverage. KTVU Fox 2 News. Frank Somerville. Complete Bay Area coverage.
We are learning more tonight about one of the victims who died in the fires in Sonoma County. The family of Christina Hansen tells us its worst nightmare came true when word came that she did not escape the flames. KTVU's Christina Rondon tells us Hansen's father was rescued and is now recovering at St. Francis Hospital in San Francisco.
They are heartbroken over the fact that he's recovering and over the fact that his daughter, Christina Hansen, died. They had been searching for her for the past couple of days, calling shelters, and then they got word last night that she passed in the fire. At 27 years old, Christina Hansen was getting ready to celebrate another birthday in November. Her cousins, Brittany and Frank Vinculado, tell us she was full of life, a bubbly personality who drew people in.
She just touched everyone, just like always very positive. She was always very social. She loved music. She loved to dance. We have all these pictures from our wedding. She was just getting down on the dance floor.
Hansen was born with spina bifida and had been in a wheelchair since birth.
She had a lot of challenges in her life, and she was always just still very positive.
She attended Spring Hills Community Church in Santa Rosa and volunteered at Primrose, an assisted living facility for people with Alzheimer's and dementia.
She knew sign language, so she learned that very young, and she would help interpret for hearing impaired.
A 2008 graduate of Cal High in San Ramon, Hansen moved to Santa Rosa with her dad and stepmom after high school. She lived in an apartment behind her dad's main house on Wickiup Bridge Way. The family thinks the fire hit Hansen's apartment first and that her dad, Michael, tried to save her. He has third-degree burns on about half of his body and is one of 9 patients at St. Francis Memorial Hospital being treated from the wildfires. He's sedated, so they won't know what happened until he wakes up, but authorities confirmed late Tuesday that Christina did not escape.
It just really was a nightmare come true. So right now, now we have to shift our focus to her dad and make sure that he's okay.
Vinculado only has positive positive memories of her cousin, a woman she'll remember as funny, charismatic, and loving.
I think if she were here right now, she would be worried about everyone in her community and making sure that everyone else that is still out there missing was found. She would want to be at shelters helping, and I think we just need to honor her that way and try to live the way that she would be living.
We've learned that Hansen will be honored on Friday before the start of Cal High's homecoming football game in San Ramon, along with Stacey Etcheber and Denise Cohen. Those two women recently died in the Las Vegas shooting.
So some important numbers that you may want to know if you're searching for someone who is in need or if you need assistance. The Sonoma County Missing Person Hotline, it's right there on your screen. It's 707-565-3856. And for those who need assistance, you can call the Redwood Credit Union at 707-545-4000. If you would like to provide monetary donations, you can visit any Redwood Credit Union or mail checks to P.O. Box 6104 in Santa Clara. That zip code is 95406, and you can also donate on Redwood Credit Union's website. And remember, anything, any little bit helps. Due to continuing poor air quality and the unpredictability of fires and winds, several schools in the massive fire zone are closing. The superintendent of the Fairfield-Sassoon Unified School District says all schools will be closed tomorrow and Friday. Vallejo City Unified School District will also be closed tomorrow and Friday. And this afternoon, Benicia Unified announced that it is canceling school through the rest of the week. CAL FIRE spokeswoman Lynn Tummelchoff joins us now live on the phone. Lynn, there's an awful lot of concern over the strong winds tonight. Can you give us an update on where things stand right now with the firefight?
Yeah, absolutely. The firefighters are out there all day working their hardest to get some more containment on these fires. Now, they haven't posted a whole lot of new numbers that have increased. However, the firefighters have been working hard. They just want to make sure that they've got as best containment as they could possibly have for these expected winds so they don't have a difficult challenge later on this evening.
Lynn, I believe I first met you a couple of years ago covering one of the fires there in Lake County. How does this compare to what we experienced there while covering the Lake County fire?
You know, it's a similar type of destruction. I believe it was the Valley Fire you're referring to. Fires like those, you know, they start off on that one particular started off on a warm, sunny day, and then we had a wind event that helped carry that fire as well as the dry fuels and the topography. You know, the fire just traveled really well. In this case, we knew we had red flag conditions, but we were in the fall. It was kind of cooler weather, and I'm sure a lot of people weren't expecting to have something this devastating occur. But when we have wind gusts of upwards of 70 to 80 miles an hour, it just fanned the flames.
Yeah, I want you to talk to me about resources. We heard today the number of aircraft, including tankers and helicopters, that are up in the air whenever they can. Of course, we know that all of the smoke is limiting the aerial firefight. But talk to me a little bit more about the resources that are currently on the ground and in the air, trying desperately to get a handle on these fires.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, we have the aircraft up, and sometimes people think, oh, we don't see them up there, you know, doing any work, or we can't hear them, we can't see them. And the firefighters have to take advantage of what they can, and if the smoke is too thick or they can't see through it, it makes it more difficult for the aircraft to do their job. However, whether the aircraft are up or not, we definitely have crews on the ground, the boots on the ground doing the work, and ultimately they are the ones that are going to put the fire out. The aircraft just help support them.
And Lynn, is there any particular area right now that is of the utmost importance, if you will? I mean, one particular area that they're specifically focusing on and are most concerned about?
You know, right now, all of these fires, you know, have some sort of important areas that they're definitely keeping an eye on. They want to make sure that they're, you know, they're tying in their lines and they're getting the fire put out in any particular area. Just because these winds could potentially carry embers out away from the main fire and, you know, potentially start new ones.
Yeah. All right, Lynn, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. Before I let you go, though, just want to make sure no new numbers in regards to containment. I know we're all hoping, fingers crossed, that perhaps crews are able to make a little bit more progress.
Yes, we're hoping just you know, slight increases in containment, but the firefighters are out there doing their hardest.
Yes, we all know that they are, and certainly appreciate their efforts. Lynn, thank you so much. Okay, now we want to show you some very dramatic video. Not sure if you've seen this. It's coming to us from the Sonoma County Sheriff's Department.
from the fire department experiencing a stop sign accident. He said he is unaware of which way the fire is going. They have so many fires, they can't really keep.
Take a look at that. This video showing just how dangerous those conditions are for law enforcement and firefighters. This video was actually taken in the area of Franz Valley Road, east of Santa Rosa, early this morning. And you can see the embers going over the patrol car and at a home on fire as this deputy, again, it was a Sonoma County Sheriff's deputy who had the right of mind to take his phone out and show us exactly what they were facing as they were driving into the area to try to fight the flames. Get people out to safety, too, in the case of that Sonoma County Sheriff's official. Santa Rosa, meantime, has certainly seen indescribable damage. Skyfox got this video today showing entire neighborhoods just reduced to ashes. That includes the Coffee Park and Fountain Grove areas. Tonight, there are still large areas of the city under mandatory evacuation orders. There were also new evacuations today for Chalk Hill Road, that is between Santa Rosa and Windsor. So for more now on what fire crews are facing, we're joined once again by Mark Naval, former battalion chief there at the Fremont Fire Department. So how do firefighters at this stage, I mean, we are several days into this. Some of them have been literally on the ground this entire time. Take us into the sort of mindset of those crews right now.
Well, I think they realize the firefight that's before them and exactly the risk that's involved and the homes. And they're going to do everything they can to make sure that they're there as long as they can. It's going to be difficult to pull them off that line, to be honest with you. But what they're trying to do is get some food, get some shut-eye by piecemeal time at night. Maybe if they're a night crew, if they're a day crew, that might be different. But they're going to stay there. They're going to continue this firefight as long as they can until they're relieved. And they're going to have to be told to get off that line.
Yeah, of course. They're very dedicated to what they do, especially when they see the devastation of this magnitude. We were talking with Mark a lot, Mark Tamayo, about the winds. When the winds sort of pick up, does that change strategy at all?
Absolutely. And Mark and I were talking at break, too. What's also kind of a factor here is what we call microclimates. You know, we're talking about weather over a large geographic region is what we're forecasting. But also remember there are small little areas, geographic areas, where that weather is going to change both due to the fire and the topography. So not only are they concerned with the overall area and all the fires, but also some very smaller areas, and that's very hard to predict that.
Yeah. All right. Mark, always appreciate your expertise. Stay with us. I know we're going to be checking with you a little bit later. Thank you very much. Meantime, coming up, the California National Guard stepping up to help in this enormous firefight. Up next, we take to the skies to tour the area with them as they try to survey the damage.
Fox 2's Dave Clark. Real stories.
When I was a boy in elementary school, I built a little radio station in our basement. I did a regular broadcast every day. My microphone was my dad's soldering iron. I would walk around describing the dust. So this, for me, is the culmination of a boyhood dream.
Real stories, real news. KTVU Fox 2 News.
Here in the Bay Area, we show our true colors, representing in blue and gold, proudly wearing that orange and black, green and gold, and showing off our red and gold.
Bay Area has the colors. We have the coverage. KTVU Fox 2, your home for Bay Area sports coverage.
Are both important. You see, traffic and weather.
No, my friend. We're talking weather.
Traffic and weather. Weather and traffic. Weekdays on Mornings on 2.
We are all Bay Area people. Going beyond the 9 to 5. Coming together every evening and sharing moments, big and small. Our stories are your stories. News for Bay Area people, from Bay Area people. Every night on KTVU Fox 2 News. KTVU began right here. And nearly 60 years ago, the 10 o'clock news was introduced to the Bay Area. Our location may have changed, but our commitment to you remains the same. Complete Bay Area news coverage from a station part of Bay Area history. And night after night, experienced journalists carry on a legacy. The 10 o'clock news on KTVU Fox 2.
the KTVU Fox 2 News app. It's about you staying informed, about you watching live coverage.
Now a 2 Investigates update involving an
and about you taking the Bay Area's news leader wherever you go. The free KTVU Fox 2 News app. The power of 2 on the go. Mornings on 2. Weekdays on KTVU Fox 2.
An update now on the wildfires burning in the North Bay. Evacuations have been ordered for all of Calistoga as several huge twin-blade helicopters styled after Army Chinook helicopters help fight a wildfire in that area. Those choppers are fetching hundreds of gallons of water at a time from an agricultural retention pond just north of Calistoga. The goal is to keep the flames from growing over the top of the mountain, and if they do, they can run right down into Middletown. And we do have an update in regards to that fire. It appears as though they are getting a little bit a handle on it. It actually grew, though. Excuse me. This is not one that they're getting a handle on. It has grown. We're going to have more updated figures on the fires in just a moment. Mandatory evacuations, meantime, are in place for parts of Geyserville, north of Healdsburg. Officials say at least 7 buildings there have been destroyed, and that includes 3 homes. The pocket fire has burned at least 2,000 acres, but in fact, we just learned it has now grown to 4,000 acres, 0% containment. We're told the fire is headed southeast in the direction of the River Rock Casino. And new evacuations have been ordered this afternoon in Mendocino County as 2 deadly fires continue to spread there. The Mendocino County Sheriff's Office issued the evacuation for Potter Valley around 4 this afternoon. About 700 people live in the evacuation zone, and authorities say everyone must leave. 6 people have been confirmed dead in the fires that are burning north of Ukiah. The fires have charred nearly 30,000 acres and are only 5% contained. Joining us now live on the phone is Officer Jonathan Sloat from the CHP office there in Santa Rosa. And Officer, I know you have an update on the highway closures in that area.
You know, it's changing all the time. We still have 101 closures through central Santa Rosa that's making a lot of congestion, and those closures are in place to keep people out of the affected areas. We have closures still at Mark West Springs Road, which is a major artery between here and Calistoga. And it's changing all the time as this fire is changing all the time. We're trying to close the roads and deny access to motorists so we can get the equipment in there we need to help with the fires.
Yeah, do you anticipate needing to close some additional roads as this fire and as the winds sort of shift the flames in other directions?
Absolutely. And one of the biggest issues we're running into is that some people, no matter how long they've lived in Sonoma County, only know one way to get somewhere. So we urge you to, if you need to get somewhere in the vicinity of a fire area, know an alternate route, especially if you're in an area that may be affected eventually. Know a different way to get out other than maybe a major artery. Find alternates.
Officer Sloat, I know that yesterday I talked with a pilot who was helped carry out some of those really risky rescues the night these fires broke out. And I also know that yesterday your helicopter crews were once again called upon to help with evacuations. Do you have any number, any idea on the total number of people that have been evacuated by the CHP helicopter pilots? And are you sort of on standby?
Well, we're all kind of on standby. I'm not sure how many rescues CHP has done so far, but we've assisted in several evacuations in all the fires throughout the area and responded to several calls of people trapped or people just disoriented or people that just needed help getting out of their house. So it's an ongoing process.
And back to the 101 closure, any idea when that particular area might reopen?
There are several factors in reopening those areas. PG&E has a say in it. The Sheriff's Department has a say in it. We have a say in it. We have to just make sure that those areas are stable and safe before they're reopened. We have been letting residents go in on a limited basis to get important items, valuable items, medication, et cetera, but only on a very limited basis. So it will probably be a few more days, but we'll have to consult with our partners before we figure out when they can actually go back in full time.
And Officer Slaughter, know that you're stationed there at the Santa Rosa office. Was your home at all affected, and what about colleagues?
Mine was not, fortunately. I don't live in the area that was hit by it, but unfortunately we had several officers who lost their homes and several volunteers who volunteer with the CHP that also lost their homes. So it's a really devastating thing for them. They're not only trying to assist the public, but they're trying to overcome the loss that they've had. So our department and their fellow officers are doing the best to support them in this horrible time.
Sure. This is, when they have to set aside their own loss to continue doing what it is that they do, and that is protecting people and making sure they get to safety. Officer, we thank you for your efforts and appreciate your time tonight.
Okay. Thank you, Heather. Bye.
Meantime, the California National Guard has been mobilized to help battle the fires, and our Ken Wayne got to survey the damage with them. And I know, Ken, you were expecting to sort of get a little better idea of the scope of this, but because of the smoke that we've been talking about, that sort of didn't give you a clear view of things.
Yeah, it was a little frustrating, Heather. The wind is picking up, by the way, so that will be clearing some of the smoke out. But, of course, firefighters don't want to see the wind because of the problems it's going to cause advancing the fire. But, yes, we went up in a Black Hawk from Moffett Field earlier today. We took off from here at Sonoma County Airport, Charles M. Schultz Airport, just outside of Santa Rosa. We were up around 1,600 feet flying over Santa Rosa. We could see the heavily damaged neighborhoods of Coffey Park and up at Fountain Grove. And it was just heartbreaking to see how many homes, how many buildings, how many businesses were wiped out by these flames that roared through this part of Santa Rosa. Then later, we headed north and flew to the south end of Lake County, and as we were flying up in that area, we had to climb up to 7,500 feet just to get over the smoke. And when we were at that altitude looking down, it was almost impossible to find any flames, any buildings, any roads, anything that could give us an idea of where the fire was burning, what direction it was going, what kind of damage had been caused. It was just all covered by smoke. So it really was just kind of disappointing in that sense. We didn't really have a clear idea of what this fire is doing back there. Again, this is in the area of north of Sonoma Valley, up past Calistoga, near Middletown. That rough described area is what I'm talking about. So, yeah, a lot of smoke out there, Heather, a lot.
When you had an opportunity to talk with those National Guard members, did they talk at all about, how they're doing and the role that they're playing in all of this?
Yeah, these are search and rescue National Guard members from Moffett Field, so their primary job is search and rescue. So those are their skills, and obviously if those needs arise, they'll be able to go out there and do that. There were some other Black Hawks here. There are 4 Black Hawks here at one time. Those came from Mather, right outside Sacramento, and they've been used to move personnel around. They've been carrying some dignitaries. They picked up all the OES people, the Office of Emergency Services people who were at the news conferences today. They gave some of them aerial tours so they could get a better idea of what they're dealing with and how to use their resources, and they also flew them back to Sacramento. So and there are more on the way. About 2,000 more National Guards men and women have been activated today, in addition to the 800 or so that were already called out. So the National Guard's heavily involved in all of this, and they are bringing members up from Southern California as well. I know a C-130 was here from Point Mugu earlier today here at Sonoma County Airport.
Yeah, as we heard an official today say, it is all hands on deck. Ken Wayne, live there in Santa Rosa. Thank you. Coming up, an update from the Sonoma County Sheriff's Office on the deadly wildfires as they continue to rage out of control.
Cresco Rents. What you need, when you need it.
show you how to use it.
The benefit of coming into Cresco is not only do we have the
All right, everyone, we are going to cut out of our Northern California wildfire coverage. We've been covering that for a while. Here's a live look at Washington, D.C. The lights are out at the White House. Meanwhile, Capitol building, the lights are on. I want to go ahead and show you guys that and continue with our news coverage. We're going to give you an update on Puerto Rico. We haven't talked about Puerto Rico in a while. Let's go ahead and show you guys the daily update from the Department of Defense and FEMA from Puerto Rico.
Also make some critical and important announcements. I want to state that I'm going to have to be leaving the press conference a little bit earlier, so I'm going to make some comments, some statements, then we're going to pause for a few questions. I'm going to head on out, and then Secretary of Public Affairs and our team will continue on giving the update. First of all, wanted to reiterate what our priorities are. Food and water delivery continue on being a critical priority for Puerto Rico, as well as having our hospital system in place, either energized or working with generators, making sure that the hub system is working, that we can utilize all of the assets such as the USS Comfort and Centro Médico for the most pressing needs. Making sure we continue on the effort to upgrade or pick up telecoms, energy, water and sewers and ports in Puerto Rico, as well as looking forward or looking ahead to some of the pressing challenges that we might be having. So we're working together with our GAR and our team to get all of the documentation that is necessary for our recovery efforts and for our relief efforts. We are also on the way to establishing a functional educational system. As we stated, on the 16th, we're going to get a report on the state of these schools, and then by the 23rd, we expect to get it started as well. A consideration over public health emergencies, and I'll talk a little bit about that in my statements, but this continues on being one of the critical priorities for us to avoid, to detect, and to act upon of public health emergency during this this effort. So those are the priorities, and then I would like to comments on two particular areas. First, number one, yesterday the White House sent to Congress a petition to include a $4.9 billion community disaster relief loan for Puerto Rico. This, just to put it into context, what this means. First of all, this program offers relief to those jurisdictions that, based on the disaster, don't have the wherewithal to either get revenues or have a functioning taxing system in place. That is the case here in Puerto Rico, and this really, based on the nature of the program, other jurisdictions in the United States won't be able to qualify for this. It will only be Puerto Rico. So this will be included in the DERF proposal that should be looked upon on Monday or Tuesday. And that represents, again, an access of $4.9 billion in different programs to municipalities, to different entities, to government entities, so that we can have the liquidity to push forward. It is called a community disaster loan, but historically what has happened is that 92% of these loans have been condoned. Therefore, there is, based on some metrics that need to be achieved, a space so that this immediate relief is not, does not have to end up being paid, and historically, again, 92% of these loans have been canceled once they have been given to Puerto Rico. This petition, or this petition from the White House to Congress, was based on a specific petition that I've made in the past couple of days to the White House. I have spoken to you about it, and I will reiterate what our petitions to the White House and to Congress are. Remember, I talked to you about 3 areas where we need critical help from the federal government, and in this case, from Congress. 2 immediate term areas. The first one being 2 immediate relief areas. The first one being this liquidity component. It'll be included in the DERF. We ask for between $4 to $5 billion in liquidity relief. This response from the White House is based on a specific petition we made, and it's $4.9 billion. So now the White House has submitted for consideration in Congress, and Congress needs to act upon it, but that one seems to be headed in the right direction. The second one was an initial, an immediate relief program that we asked Congress. It is a relief program composed of several programs from the federal government, including CDBG programs, social services program from HHS, DOT, Small Business Administration, USDA, and Department of Education that comprise $4.2 to $4.6 billion in immediate relief for Puerto Rico. Now, this is separate from what we had already asked in the liquidity front. This immediate relief would go to help Puerto Rico establish a platform to answer the emergency and to attend to our already decaying economy. So we have already achieved, at least from the support of the White House, now it needs to go to the Congress, support to get the $4.9 billion in liquidity through the Community Disaster Loan Program. But we are still asking, and it is imperative that we get immediate relief in the form of several government programs that will allow us to stabilize the situation, attend to the emergency, and of course attend to our pressing economic needs. The third component is a longer-term component, right? When I mean longer-term component, it means that it might not be in the next couple of weeks. It might be in a month or in 2 months, which is the long-term recovery aid package. This is critical. This is an important component, and it is based on the estimates of damage that have occurred in Puerto Rico and what we need to rebuild Puerto Rico and to rebuild it stronger again. So there are 3 components that we have asked the federal government and the administration. Yesterday, we received support from the White House from one of them, which is the immediate liquidity issues from the DERF. We are still asking for immediate relief from a host of 6 to 7 programs in the federal government that will attend to our economic needs and our emergency needs. And then afterwards, similar to what's occurring with Texas and Florida, immediate long-term recovery aid package for Puerto Rico so that we can start rebuilding again. I'll be very much willing to answer questions about these programs in a few minutes, but just wanted to let you know that yesterday's advance or support from the White House came from a direct petition that we made to the White House and to Congress in letters that we sent to the White House and to Congress, and they have responded in the affirmative in that first of cases. Now, I would like to take the opportunity to also, since we are asking for this immediate relief program, there's an immediate relief program with CDBG and Small Business Administration and other programs. What I'm going to do is I am going to call upon certain members of Frente for Puerto Rico, which, as you know, was an initiative that we had started to address some issues in Puerto Rico as one voice and to get results from the federal government. Now, that effort has already started getting some results in the S-SHIP program. Everybody in Puerto Rico, the idea was that we can speak in one voice. It doesn't matter what party affiliation, doesn't matter if they're private sector, public sector, or non-for-profit. So I will call upon a meeting so that we can establish a strategy and a path forward in the next coming days in Washington so that we can get that immediate relief package as well as the liquidity package, which seems to be well on its way. Also, I would like to state that, there are certain issues that are still pending with the administration that we'll be working on. I spoke to the Administrator Long this morning about some of these things, and he will be in Congress today, and he will be also talking to the White House about some of the issues that we've petitioned, such as extensions to the Jones Act, waiver to permanent work of FEMA, and a particular waiver of the SNAP program so that people could have access to restaurants or fast foods and eat hot meals within that context. So that is the framework of the federal effort that's occurring right now. I will be more than willing to answer any other questions. Important to note again, 3 buckets. We've already gotten support on one of them. We expect support on all of them. If we want Puerto Rico to have a path forward and to not collapse into a dire situation, it is important that we get the appropriate resources for Puerto Rico. And I would like to thank the White House for this first step that they have taken to petition access of liquid funds for Puerto Rico within the next couple of months. That is on the federal petition front. I would also like to talk a little bit about public health. And we have some of our public health experts over here, our Secretary of Health and Epidemiology as well. They will be here if there are particular questions over the public health issues that are occurring. So let me talk a little bit about the leptospirosis effort that's going in Puerto Rico. First of all, the CDC is going to evaluate the 2 cases of deaths that were reported yesterday. They are still evaluating to see if, in effect, it was the bacteria that caused their death. I should caution that there are other illnesses, such as dengue, that have similar outcomes, similar symptoms. So it is important that although we are taking preventative steps, although every time we see the symptoms, the state is working on preventative methods and on the appropriate medicine to work with these cases, it is still not confirmed if they are in fact given by the bacteria. There are 2 other cases that we're informing of death, potentially by the bacteria. So we will be continuing on to let you know a little bit more about this, but 2 cases, one in Carolina and one in Mayagüez, that the CDC and the Forensics Center will be working on to see if they are in fact due to the bacteria. I would also like to state that today we will be distributing a lot of information for the people of Puerto Rico. We will have it on the website. We will be going to the townships, as we stated, so that people have access to information on how to prevent some of these diseases, right? Particularly how we can make sure that you have access to clean water, how to eliminate fungus, and how to disinfect water. So a lot of these flyers will be either posted online. Our petition is that people that have access to internet and have access to a printer, be good citizens and help us distribute this information. We will start sending this information as well to local municipalities, to different mayors, so that they can distribute it along with the food supplies and the water supplies that are being given out. So information is critical at this juncture. It is important to know that these bacteria occur on events like this, and particularly on tropical weather such as this, and that there are ways to treat it. Right now, potentially there have been 10 cases. 2 of those cases have been treated and are actually at their homes already. You can use penicillin or doxycycline to treat this disease, and at the same time, we would like to reiterate that there is actually a preventative measure for those that are in continuous contact with dirty water and so forth, which is doxycycline. And again, the treatments and the mechanisms can be discussed by our experts, but certainly it is important to know that this can be treated. This can be treated with antibiotics. There are antibiotics available. We have evoked the emergency prescription program that we spoke about a few days ago from the federal government. So all of these things are being worked. Another item that I would like to address is that we're not waiting for illnesses and disease to occur in Puerto Rico. We're being proactive about this. Our state coordinator has established a path forward with HHS so that we can identify all potential illnesses that could arise in Puerto Rico, the mitigation strategy, the way to work with them, and how to deploy assets immediately. So those are efforts that are ongoing. As well as today, within the next couple of days, the Department of Health in Puerto Rico and the DOD will be distributing pills that will help purify water. Some of these pills are in this form. Very clear instructions that will be handed out as well in one of the flyers on how to use it, how you can use these pills, and how you can make that into purified water. So we're taking all steps. Information is paramount here. We can avoid a lot of these diseases, but we need to know what we're essentially encountering and how we can counteract that. So those are the two major statements that I wanted to make. I will make them briefly in Spanish, and then I will attend to questions. Quiero hablar de dos cosas hoy. Lo primero es los recursos que se le han otorgado, o la petición de recursos que ha dado la Casa Blanca al Congreso de que se le otorguen $4.9 billones en ayuda a la liquidez para Puerto Rico. Sabrán que en los últimos días hemos estado haciendo 3 peticiones muy puntuales hacia el Congreso. La primera es el alivio inmediato. El alivio inmediato son una serie de programas del gobierno federal que incluyen CDBG, Small Business Administration, Departamento de Educación, etcétera, que van para ayudar a la emergencia y a sostener nuestra economía. Segundo, pedimos inmediatamente la ayuda hacia la liquidez, reconociendo las dificultades que tenemos para recaudar en este momento y el problema de liquidez que tenemos en Puerto Rico. Y tercero, el programa a largo plazo de recuperación, que serían los recursos que se le den a Puerto Rico para comenzar la reconstrucción después de la devastación. Son 3 peticiones puntuales que se le han establecido. Ayer a nuestra petición, ya tanto por cartas que le enviamos al Congreso y cartas que le enviamos a Casa Blanca, la Casa Blanca apoyó el esfuerzo de que se le otorgue a Puerto Rico acceso a liquidez a corto plazo, ¿verdad?, hasta finales de diciembre. Esto viene en la forma de un Community Disaster Loan, un préstamo de desastre de la comunidad, de $4.9 billones. Me gustaría hablar un poquito sobre lo que significa esto. Esto no es meramente un préstamo. Esto se ha utilizado en otras comunidades vulnerables en el pasado, y el 92% de los préstamos de este programa han sido condonados, siempre y cuando se lleguen a unos parámetros. Por lo tanto, esto lo que nos da es lo que hemos solicitado de emergencia, acceso a liquidez, y nos permite el vehículo también.
All right, well, that Puerto Rico update is now in Spanish, guys, so we are going to cut out of that. Here is a live look at New York City. It is 8:59. We'll be wrapping up in a minute. Hope you guys have a great night.